It's the 24th day of a 30-day expedition skiing across the Greenland ice cap, and I'm exhausted. Not because I've been skiing for 8 to 10 hours every day for the last 24 days, and not because the 2 sleds I'm pulling behind me are heavy, which they are. I'm exhausted because today it's too warm. Instead of the sub-zero temperatures we've had for the last several weeks, today it's around freezing. And the snow is the snow is so sticky and wet that my skis no longer glide. They feel more like there are heavy logs strapped to them, and every step forward is an exhausting effort. As someone that's been guiding polar expeditions for more than 20 years, there are only a few things I dread, and conditions like these are one of them. But it goes with the territory, because as a polar guide, a lot of what I do is hard. Skiing for hours in sub-zero temperatures, that's hard. Having to melt snow for every drop of water, that's hard. Losing my balance in a whiteout because I can't see which way is up or down, left or right. Pacing back and forth outside my tent in the middle of the night, doing polar bear watch. All of those things are hard. But here's the thing, I'm not superhuman. I'm just like all of you, even though my interests... Right? It's true, though. It's totally true. Even though my interests and my experiences and my work may be different. What lets me handle all those crazy challenges and even enjoy them is my expedition mindset. A mindset that helps me make the most of all sorts of situations and experiences, both on my expeditions and also in my life. You can have an expedition mindset too, without having to endure an expedition. A mindset that will help you overcome obstacles, deepen your relationships, and help you explore life in a whole new way. There are 3 components to this mindset: courage, awareness, and a sense of adventure. And like muscles, they only get stronger the more you use them. One night in the Arctic, after a long day of skiing, I was in my tent with my 2 tent mates. We had just melted a kettle of snow, and I was rehydrating my freeze-dried dinner in a foil pouch against my torso, and the warmth of it felt so good. But then I heard an unusual sound outside my tent and decided I needed to check it out. So I unzipped the first tent zipper and then the second tent zipper, and I crawled out on my hands and knees, and when I looked up, I locked eyes with the biggest polar bear I've ever seen, and it was only 12 feet away. In that moment, the only thing that existed for me were those 2 dark eyes and the 1,000 pounds of muscle and fat behind them. Did I feel some fear? It was a polar bear, so yes. Did I need courage? Absolutely. Courage is not the absence of fear. There are many things that cause fear for me, like hearing ice cracking beneath my skis, or being in a windstorm that is so strong my tent is in danger of collapse. I'm also a little afraid of my kids going off to college, and all sorts of other things that have nothing to do with expeditions. But the cool thing is that courage and fear coexist, a little like humans and polar bears. That's because courage is not about fear. It's about having faith. Faith in yourself and what you're capable of doing in the face of adversity, danger, and uncomfortable situations. I shouted, "Bear! Bear! Bear!" And I grabbed my loud flare gun and fired the first round into the air. A second round was needed, and with the bear now a little further away, I had to consider where to aim the flare gun. If you shoot too close to the bear, the flare can ricochet off the ice, bounce over the bear, and scare it back towards you. But if you shoot too far away, it might not scare away the bear at all. When I fired the second round, I felt confident and in control, and thankfully the bear was scared away. But later on, as we made a plan for staying safe throughout the night and into the coming day, my adrenaline wore off. And my fatigue and hunger and humanity reminded me that I still needed courage. And this courage was more advanced. It was the courage to ask for help. When, after not having dinner and a mostly sleepless night, the next day my sled felt extra heavy, and I had a hard time keeping up with my team. I know this might not sound like a big deal, but for many of us, sharing vulnerability doesn't come naturally, and it isn't easy. It can take a lot of courage to let go of the need to be self-sufficient all of the time, and instead rely on the strength and the rewards of mutual support. Courage is also used to build trusting relationships, which are so important for a successful expedition. But it's awareness that nourishes them, and this is a delicate skill. It is much harder than learning to pull a sled, set up a tent, or use a stove, but it's so much more important. It requires thought and patience and attentiveness. It is fluid and ongoing and necessary. This was especially significant on a North Pole dog sled expedition when we got caught in the polar treadmill. The polar treadmill is a unique and painfully frustrating scenario on the frozen polar sea when you stop making forward progress. If you're skiing north towards the North Pole, but the ice that you're on is drifting to the south, it's possible that you could effectively be skiing in place. No matter how hard you try, you might not make any progress or get any closer to the pole because you could be on a giant ice-covered treadmill. Our team was making great progress, dog sledding and skiing more than 10 miles north every day. But each night as we slept, we drifted 11 or 12 miles backwards to the south. It was so frustrating, but the only thing we could do was keep putting one foot in front of the next. After 3 long days of drifting backwards whenever we weren't moving, the team's low morale became palpable. Every hour brought new challenges. We tried to stay positive, but the reality was lost on no one. We were losing ground, and we might not even make it to the pole. As if in an hourglass, I saw the last grains of resilience draining away. Even the dogs looked depressed. But then a beautiful thing happened. At one of our short breaks, one of the team members embodied awareness. He took off his skis and his goggles. He walked to every member of the group, looked them in the eye, smiled as much as he could, and then silently acknowledged each person's efforts with a slow nod and a bear hug. Then he closed his eyes and shook his head, recognizing the desperation that we all felt. At that moment, words had little value. There really wasn't anything to say. But his awareness and the individual attention he gave to each person was priceless. It gave everybody the chance to both laugh and cry, all within the same breath. And it was the breaking point of our misery. Of course, we were all still frustrated. Nothing around us had changed. But something within us had. We knew that as hard as it got, we still had each other. And that made it a defining moment of the expedition that we all still treasure. But here's the thing. You don't need to be on an expedition to feel like you're on a giant treadmill going nowhere. We all sometimes feel that way. And the reality is that life's curveballs aren't always as obvious as a big polar bear or as futile as drifting backwards on a frozen sea. But they still come, sometimes every day. And that's when having a sense of adventure makes all the difference. Some people think of adventure as a frivolous or adolescent way to spend time. Others may see it as a first world luxury. But adventure is a pillar of humanity. It's the process of discovery. For thousands of years, having an adventurous spirit is how we have expanded our understanding of the world and all our relationships in it. The human desire for exploration and adventure is more than strong. It vibrates under everything we do. It calls to us. Adventure makes our lives richer and deeper and more vibrant. And by adventure, I don't just mean being on an expedition or even doing something that's daring, because adventure isn't out there. It's a mindset. Adventure embraces the philosophy that life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we react to it. It empowers us to turn situations, even ones that are hard or filled with discomfort, into positive, memorable, even enjoyable experiences. In the days after my face-to-face encounter with a polar bear, we kept getting slammed with curveballs, one after the next. But instead of breaking us down, our courage and sense of adventure were being exercised, strengthening our faith in ourselves and our ability to face adversity. When we were caught in that polar treadmill, we felt exhausted and overwhelmed. But with awareness and a sense of adventure, we found so much strength in all of that resilience. And deep within all of that grit, we found grace. The polar treadmill, it turns out, was actually a little bit of a gift to us all. Every day, I have fun discovering and rediscovering things that could be as simple as connecting with an old friend, seeing an awesome cloud in the sky, or even trying to explain algebra to one of my daughters. You can do this too. Exercising your sense of adventure prompts you to be present. It engages the body, the mind, and the spirit. And that is an age-old recipe for discovery, growth, and happiness, even if it's messy. Courage, awareness, and a sense of adventure will move mountains all around you. But even better, they will move mountains within you. What kinds of things will you be able to do with more courage? Courage that you can find easily because you use it all the time. Which of your relationships will become deeper or more meaningful because you make a choice to be attentive to them in fluid and positive ways? And what kind of beautiful and exciting and crazy experiences will you have when you embrace your sense of adventure and recognize yourself as an explorer? Here's what will happen. You'll hit some of life's curveballs out of the park. You will be empowered and feel more capable of charting your own course. And suddenly, this journey of life will become an awesome expedition. And you will become much more than alive. You will begin to truly live. Thank you.